Back with another episode of The Gift of the Gab, episode 67. I'm Ben, and I'll be your solo host for today. Tia couldn't make today's shooting or today's recording, so you'll just be listening to me. So it will be a quick episode, and I'll jump straight into it. So petrol is running out in the UK. There's a shortage of it, apparently, and it's really showing. So yesterday, I had to do some errands and run about town. And even the day before, Tio actually warned me and said, oh, on the news this morning, they said that fuel is basically, people are going crazy over fuel. Not that it's running out, but there isn't enough lorry drivers to drive the fuel from, I guess, where it's stored or extracted or refined and then sent to the actual petrol stations. So I was like, oh yeah, cool, I've got some fuel in my car. Finished the shop. I saw the line at Asda. It would have probably taken about 30-40 minutes. And I was like, nah, I'll be good. And then I had a longer trip to make the next day. And that's when I saw the real extent of the shortage. And it is ridiculous. Like, lines are ranging from anywhere from at least an hour to almost 2 hours. So like hour and a half. And it's like the toilet paper all over again. Everyone is queuing up. Whether you need it or not, they're just like, I'm gonna get fuel now. People are bringing their spare cans to refill. They're putting caps on fuel in places, like you can only top up £30 worth of fuel. And fuel prices are kind of high right now. And just because there's no lorry drivers, we're all feeling it. We're all feeling the pain. And you know whose fault this is? That won't admit it? Well, Mr. Government says, Grant Shapps, he said that there isn't a fuel shortage, it's just that there's no lorry drivers, and that seems to be what's being reported in the news. But they're saying that a lot of HGV or lorry drivers, heavy goods vehicle drivers, have quit due to their working conditions, and also about like how they like the changes to the way they worked. A lot of them quit, and also due to Brexit, a lot of them left, like the people who were from Europe and other countries. And that has caused this shortage, which has been getting worse, but I guess added to the pandemic, it's amplified even more. And now the government, this government should just be called U-Turn Central. So after, running the campaign of Brexit, basically, which was just the main highlight of that campaign, or the main highlight of the Leave campaign, was to reduce immigration and basically to get immigrants to stop coming to Britain. And now those same people are like, oh, actually, we need immigrants. Turns out they're useful. We need them to come and drive lorries, so we're issuing temporary visas that will last until Christmas Eve, which I think is a bit cruel. Maybe they want to spend Christmas here, They worked hard for 3 months to help our butts out. And then Christmas Eve, their visa expires. And that essentially is meant to help the shortage until Christmas, which just seems, and they described it as like throwing a thimble of water. I don't know what a thimble of water is, but throwing a bucket of water on a big fire. It's not really doing much. And I agree. I don't think it's doing much. And I think that they are going to learn their lesson that you screwed yourself over. That's what you've ended up doing. You screwed yourself over with this shortage, and you don't have enough drivers, and now we are where we are. So if you haven't got your fuel, don't panic, but probably panic and go get some fuel, because everyone seems to be going crazy. But I did notice, actually, when I went to get fuel, I actually managed to get some yesterday, because I was running low, not just because I wanted it, although I did want it. I found a Morrison's with a fuel station attached, and my wait was only 15 minutes. So it really depends on where you go. But also, I got fuel quite far out. I wasn't in London when I got fuel, and it seems to be very bad in London. Don't know about everywhere else, and also in Kent as well. And even moving on to more disruption due to the pandemic. So I was scrolling through, scrolling through Instagram, and I came across this news article from CNN that said a couple in Texas was asked to leave a restaurant for wearing masks to protect their immunocompromised son. And the Texas couple was kicked out of the restaurant for wearing face masks, essentially. And it was the Hang Time Sports Grill Bar, which has a no mask wearing policy. The mom of the infant said she wasn't aware of that policy. This is what she said. About 30 minutes in, our waitress came over and she sits down next to me and she's like, hey, so our manager is over there in the kitchen and he is not as nice as I am. So I came over here to talk to you. And unfortunately, this is a political thing, but our manager does not believe in the mask. He's tired of being told what to do by, politics in the country. And so you're going to need to take the mask off. So because he's tired of being told what to do, he's telling other people what to do. Yes, makes sense. But I understand it's his own private establishment, but it just seems silly, and that is the thing, especially in the US. And I'm sure other countries as well, and UK is no innocent bystander. Why do things about health have to be politicized? Why can't it just be like, this is good, or this is a good measure, or this is good to protect us? Let's all do it. Why does it have to be one side versus the other? And I think that's also problem with a two-party system. I think that needs to be overhauled like pretty much everywhere. I don't see how in a democratic country you basically only get two options to choose from, and most of the time both options aren't great, so you just choose the better of two evils sometimes. But with that said, we're still getting people politicizing things about health in a pandemic, in a whole panorama. So just be safe out there, guys, and let's just get through this. I don't know what to say. I wish Tia was here because she would give you a real piece of her mind. I'm just tired of hearing stories like this where everything seems to be politicized. And sorry to our American listeners. You can fill us in the comments if this is really how it's like over there, because it seems like every other story I hear from America is about COVID is usually some one side versus the other side. It's never just, a story of unity and this is how we pulled through. But I'm sure those stories exist, so be sure to share them with us and let us know the happier stories that you have, the nice things that you have. And moving on from that, I thought I would switch to uni because it's September time. In the UK, September time is the start of the school term. I don't know about everywhere else. In the US, maybe not. I don't know. Well, September time, start of the school term, so people are heading back to uni. And if you are in uni, leave us a like. Tell us what uni you're attending, what course you're doing. We'll be interested to learn more about you. But I wanted to talk about uni because I've finished uni a few years ago now, actually. And I wanted to talk about one thing I learned from uni. And also let me know what you've learned from uni in the comments below. But this is what I learned. There isn't one way to do uni. I think going into uni, especially being from the UK and watching a lot of American shows and stuff and movies, you get this idea that uni is this big party, and it can be for some people, but it's not. First of all, unis aren't really the size over here as they are in America, so you don't really have that big student population like sometimes in this enclosed area, or you get student accommodation, but they don't seem to be as large as the movies made them seem. So in terms of options, sometimes you're limited, and depending on the area especially, you can be limited. What I learned from my time at uni is that there isn't like one way to do it, because besides the experience part, you think like a uni, like, oh yeah, you need to go buy all your books and then read all your recommended reading and do well, and then you can get like the best grade possible. And that doesn't work for everybody, and you might not get the best grade possible, and also that might not be how you work. And for me, one of the things I learned is that is definitely not how I work. I don't like to to start an assignment early. I think I started a couple assignments early, or most of them. I would have a plan to start early at least. I mean, I would open up the document, maybe start the title, but most of my assignments went to the wire. Like the closer I got to deadline time, I was a chief procrastinator, master of procrastinator extraordinaire. And I would essentially use the pressure to make me write my essays and then deliver them on time, and to what I assume was a good standard, and to what was marked as a decent standard too. But when I was at uni, I realized that, okay, there isn't one way to do things. There is an easier way, and that is to do things through planning and to have your set times. But you have to kind of do what works for you. If you are someone who likes to do their essays in big spurts, then that might suit you rather than someone who would write like a couple hundred words every day. But I would say, even if you do like doing them in big spurts, probably start earlier, because I had an experience where I lost my work and I had to do a quick rush of an essay, like with a few hours to go from midnight. And it was terrible. And I think I had to take Tears to the GP, like in the middle of the night, like to the emergency GP or something. She was feeling good. So I was there with my laptop in like the GP waiting room, just typing. This is like at 3 a.m. in the morning. If I had done my work earlier, I wouldn't have been in that situation. But it still worked for me and I still did well. It's not necessarily something to follow, but it's something to think about. You have to kind of just do what works for you and approach uni how you want to approach it. But also I want to know like with the difference in the pandemic for people working, I guess studying from home, has that changed the way you work? Has that changed how you like to do things? Has that made you more into a person where, because you had less options, you're more likely to focus on the work firsthand? Because I know being a student, there's lots of temptations, but with the pandemic, it took away a lot of that for students. No freshers fair, no clubs, no society gatherings, I'm assuming, apart from virtual. So everything is kind of just on the computer, last year especially. Did that change your work? Did you see yourself doing better? Did you see yourself doing worse than before? How did that affect you and how did that make you feel when you were studying? Let us know in the comments below and let us know what worked for you at uni, what type of learner you are, and how you're doing, how you're finding it. I think that has been it, and that's been us. This has been a really short episode. Have I got another topic? Of course not. But I thought I would just step on here and share a little bit of stories and tell you a little bit of what's going on. And hopefully you enjoyed this mini episode of The Gift of the Gap. You know where to find us, everywhere podcasts are found, at BT Smalltalk. Make sure you tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend, like, comment and subscribe. I forgot what else Tia says here. You can listen to us next time. So that's been us. Ciao.